Hello and welcome back, everybody, as we prepare for our final series of the day. But quick wrap up on the first series. Joey's hair, Gabby, should he cut it or keep it the length that it's at?
I think he should grow it out until he can donate at least 8 inches. I've done that a few times. So see how it looks, because then it's an excuse for him to see what it's like to have it super long, but feel like there's a payoff at the end.
Okay.
So that's my vote. And then let me cut it.
They let you cut it. All right, we can make content out of that. I don't think you'll be able to grow it that long for when they get knocked out first round of playoffs, though. That's
we'll put, there's like oils and stuff that you can do for hair growth.
Okay.
We'll make a whole regimen.
Steve, let me know where I can purchase some of those. That's beside the point, though. Getting into this next matchups, you see it on the screen below, or at the bottom of your current screen. Team Liquid first up against Cloud9 Challengers. Team Liquid first in the clump at the bottom of the standings. Only 4 wins so far in the split, and they are coming in here as underdogs. So let's talk about them, Joshi. What can people get excited about with this roster?
The big thing, the heart and soul of Team Liquid First is absolutely their top 2 members, right? Surdy and City Witty have been players that have been able to find some relatively large leads for themselves, right? Surdy is one of the better top laners that we have in the league, and City has been very focused on playing a lot of these more unusual mages. I think several of their wins have come from the fact that he's been playing first strike Karthus in a bunch of their games. And it has been really about, if they have winning lanes and can allow him to get later on into the game, City can really take over at that point.
And also, important to note, LJX coming in here late into the season. The Tigers, you're getting a lot of teams that having these substitutes come in. So it's always fun to get your insight into what that's like from a player perspective, because I know that you've been casting this level for so long that you've seen generations of players come in, make it all the way through Academy to the LCS. So I'm excited to get your insight or your reaction to LJX and his performance this game.
I know, I'm so excited because you never know when new faces come in who are going to be the staples of years to come, who's going to have rapid rises to promotions into LCS or otherwise, who finds a nice comfy home on a team. There's so much that's possible, and we'll see what LJX is able to do with the squad.
No pressure, LJX.
No pressure.
Joshi, GFX Productions. Walk me through their next, the kind of end of the split, schedule here.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing to note is that their last opponent is going to actually be one of the FlyQuest teams, and it is going to be Fly Fam. So they actually don't have the hardest schedule ahead of them, but this first one is probably the most difficult one that they have, right? They have both CLG Faith and Fly Fam that they still have left to play, and that will probably pick up a couple of wins off of that. But we got to talk about it a little bit right now, right? So much of this team's success has been through this top side, and Surdy's ability to find a lot of 1v1 solo kills into different members just because of how strong he actually is at finding some of these individual outplays.
And not just the solo plays. What I want both of you to be paying attention to throughout this game is how Surdy and City work together. You highlighted it, and that's what a lot of these replays are showing. It's these two on the screen that are, taking games into their own hands and finding wins, especially off of picks where City can carry. Things like Kindred, things like Karthus have been his wheelhouse so far, and they're gonna need a lot of firepower if they're looking to pick up a win against this roster. Latigris, there's a name on that roster that you've been casting a little bit already this year, because Diplex is actually here now in the Challengers League, because Eminus got moved up, and Diplex already in the short time he's been here has already looked like one of the best mid laners we got.
Oh my gosh, a few names on here that are very familiar when it comes to LCS standing and within this level of play. But Diplex coming on through after spending some time on the LCS squad. I think that when comparing the two mid laners that Cloud9 have been brought, Diplex has definitely been on that more stable, just being a point of consistency for the team. And when you have a lot of the other members of this squad that can really pop off, I mean, that bot lane being super powerful with Lost and Zeyzal, it's just another great addition to an already dominant squad.
It's also important to note that the rest of their season is looking not too tough. And I made a bet earlier with Deathstroke, we referenced it at the beginning of the day, that if Cloud9 ends the season in first, I'm going to have to shave my facial hair. And some of you might like that, but I'm a little bit more attached to that than to something else. And Team Liquid first, I'm going to give you an incentive to actually try and win this one out. As one of the tougher opponents that they have going up against Cloud9 Challengers, if you can take a game and help me get Dignitas into first place, I will let you pick which leg is going to get waxed from the knee down.
Oh,
you get it all to yourself. We're going to wax it. We'll make content out of it. I need this to happen so I can keep my beard.
So you're losing hair either way.
Yeah, but I would rather keep this than, than my shins.
All right, you know what? Noted. So, TL first, you heard it.
That's the benefit that you have. But, I mean, it's a tall task, right? Like, we were just pumping up Surdy.
Yep.
Look at what Fake God is also able to do.
Fake God has been a silent killer, I think. Oh, Latires, you wanted to hop in there?
Joshi, have you ever been waxed in any way? Do you know how that feels compared to... Okay, that's...
Yeah,
the very different feeling than shaving your facial hair.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're like, I want to do this. And
I need it. I want to keep this. I can do better cosplay with it.
Let me tell you, Joshi, I cosplayed Pool Party Braum. I know what a wax feels like. It's not comfortable. All right, let's get to the pick and ban.
That's how much I want. Team Liquid first to win.
Number one, TL first versus Cloud9 Challengers. And surprise, I'm here. I'm not going to go anywhere because I'm sticking with you through pick and ban. We got all three of us for this one.
Ooh.
Welcome, friends.
The extra power for Team Liquid first. And we gotta address it. This is going to be probably the most difficult matchup that Team Liquid first has left in the split. And one of the big reasons why is LJX coming in as a late season substitute is going into Lost and Zeyzal, who I think are pretty much unequivocally our best bottom lane in the entire league at almost every point of the game.
There's a reason that we had them highlighted in our little silly skit that we did for the LCS. Thunder and lightning, baby. The 1-2 punch combo from Cloud9 Challengers. And the scary thing is every single player on this team is like top 5 in their role in the league. And even then, it's just like, when you can carry through any lane, but your bot lane is just the best and the meta suits them and it works, they are a scary combo.
That's the biggest kind of X factor here. It's obviously always going to be a strength to have a strong bot lane, but in this meta, it is highlighted that much more. And I love to see the pairing of Zeyzal, who's been strong for a while, even back in LCS time, getting to semifinals at Worlds, and then coming through into Academy/NACL and continuing to make a name. I think Cloud9 is one of those teams where, yeah, there's all these memes about systems, but it's for a reason, because it is from top down that you see them have a lot of consistent success, right? And it has been a bit since they had those back-to-back victories and finals and championships here on this level, but still always within the mix, and now with a very different squad than years before.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember all the way back, because back before franchising, Cloud9 was the team that would get like a second team that was going to get promoted into the LCS. They would like sell that off, and then once that stopped,
I was FlyQuest.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it worked, right? And then Cloud9 since then have also gotten a lot of really strong players with the idea of like, oh, people will buy out their contracts from us. So like there's a lot of good players here worth buying out potentially. But we do see the Annie coming through for Team Liquid first. This has been a staple so far today.
Yeah, bringing our attention to the draft. I just want to catch everybody up in case they're listening, not watching. Lucian, Zeri, Caitlyn banned from TLF side. Maokai, Ashe, Elise banned from Cloud9 side. And then we get the Xayah Rakan locked in for Cloud9 Challengers.
Yeah. And very strong, right? But it is one of those things where if Rovex is on point, you can put a stop to a lot of the things that the Rakan is trying to do. We did see that Joey was playing the mind games a little bit better earlier on in the day. And so Cloud9, I mean, with 3 marksmen banned out against them, you have to leave them something strong. This time it is going to be the Xayah Rakan. And we see another similar pairing. This time LGX is going to be the one piloting the Ezreal.
The Ezreal, we were talking about it during one of the earlier matches, how these bot lanes that are brought together and trying to quickly find synergy a lot of times lean on the Ezreal because of that familiarity from all players. So here with LJX just recently getting added to the squad, it kind of makes sense to see this pick coming out. And then another standard classic that many mid laners have experience on in Azir getting locked in.
Like the Gnar of top lane at this point, right? Like people will just play it if they're not quite sure what else to play, and this is gonna be a tough one, right? Diplex has had a lot of experience playing up against this, and I've been kind of fascinated watching Diplex come down into this league just because he was doing pretty decently in the LCS already. Comes down here, is already tearing things up. Has very different strength profiles than Jimenez, right? Where Jimenez was getting a ton of solo kills, Diplex has been typically the stronger team fighter.
I do feel like that's what it came down to more than anything else, rather than just skill. It's one player has a very distinctive, explosive play style that can look pretty cray-cray at times versus another one that is that kind of like solid foundation. And when looking at the way LCS wants to play with players like Blabber, right, that sometimes Budge just talked about having to get a leash on him and, you know, he's wanting to go and just scrap at him. Having a mid laner that's willing to do the same thing is probably what they're looking for when Blabber did conduct part of that interview to bring Jimenez into the fold. So Diplex still looking strong there, and now coming on to this squad to be able to supplement the rest of the team that's looking really good as well.
I mean, we just spent all that time talking about the development of Cloud9 rosters throughout history, and this is a roster where like they could promote anybody and they would still probably do well in the LCS. That just shows the depth that they're pulling from. Aspect, I want to give some shout-outs to, has been performing better as of late. I think that Aspect's actually been scaling throughout the season and getting the Azir, and now they can ban out things. They haven't banned out a mid laner yet. They went for the Scion ban instead as Cloud9 take away Sejuani and Fiora. But I'm wondering if they want to ban out something that Diplex could play into the Azir. Things like the Akali, I know Diplex could pilot. Yep, there it is.
I mean, there it is. You do have to protect the mid lane a little bit, right? It is looking very difficult for either the bottom lane or the mid lane to build any leads, especially in the bottom lane, just because of how difficult it is to actually play this out a lot of the time if Zeyzal is on point. And Zeyzal has been kind of the heart and soul so far for Cloud9, and the fact that not only are they one of the major playmakers, also one of the major shot callers as well. And oh boy, Diplex is throwing down the casting gauntlet against Aspect, saying, hey, I don't think you can beat me before I become relevant.
The matchup can be tough early because the Azir will just kind of poke you out, make it a nightmare for you to farm. But yeah, once you get those levels as Cassidy, it's always that ticking time bomb, the doom clock, as we like to call it. And yeah, eventually Diplex will just be able to 1v9 this game. And they also have tools, scarily enough, to kind of keep them relevant in the game to allow the Cassidy to scale.
Oh, interesting. Also a big pivot coming through from City, right? Typically we've been seeing them playing a lot more scaling kind of characters, but now they're instantly jumping over to the Wukong to give them a little bit of engage, as well as a lot more gank presence early on in the game, and certainly hovering this Jax as one of the big power picks that are still available on the patch, and should be able to have a good time as a bit of a denial pick away from Fake God.
And I think when you're looking at Fake God specifically, it doesn't hurt to get that denial pick in because he's been looking really good this season after coming back after break-in. I think a couple of members on Cloud9's side really do have that something to prove feeling when you think about it, because of Fake God and Lost specifically sometimes getting a lot of criticism that isn't always deserved, and now showing out on this team in this way where it's not just, oh, we're winning games, it's the way in which they're doing it that shows they're good on not just mechanical levels, but team macro and synergy wise.
A big thing that we like to talk about with Cloud9 Challengers is exactly that, Latigris. Like the comeback story for a lot of these players. Fake God being public about, you know, he feeling his stagnation was due to motivation. Zeyzal taking time off from League of Legends, now coming back to playing, and he went from LCS to playing in, amateur. Because he said, like, well, I don't want to play in Academy. I think I'm LCS ready, so I'd rather, like, have a flexible contract and be able to get picked up quickly, hoping for that LCS spot. But we're in a game, so I'm going to pass it over to the two of you and get out of here.
Thanks for joining us. That was a lot of fun.
Let's go. Spam TLF. Wax his legs.
Wax leg.
We should count those. We should count those if we can. Team Liquid first, though. This is a monumental task that they are going up against, right? This is a team that has, you know, a bunch of storied players from the semi-pro scene coming into this. Rovex has been playing collegiate for so long at this point, and has actually been really well known for the Pike. And in an interview that they gave last year during the Proving Ground circuit, I asked, what is this kind of like, as, you know, a lot of your players have been around the semi-pro scene for quite a while, and he basically said that if they didn't have an opportunity to play at Academy or Challengers League this year, going into 2023, he might have considered even moving on and stopping trying to move forward. So I'm very excited that Rovex has had that opportunity to try and look for some of these plays.
Yes, it's a nice place to really get to see a lot of players establish that regularity in the competitive scene. And I think that there's a lot of opportunities there to continue honing your skill. And Rovex, while not on one of the Hook champs now, I know the Pike, I know the Nautilus is also another strong pick for him, but not having that available means taking a bit of damage currently. Actually throws out the Ignite to trade for the Ignite and healing up just in time with the help of LJX to not give over life just yet.
Wow, that's a lot of summoners already blown. Lost still has potions to kind of heal up all the damage that was just done, whereas Rovex, I mean, barely in lane at this point, hasn't really had much to do and will not be able to get a lot of damage down just because of how unsafe they are. We saw what can happen when a Rakan is preying on somebody that has no flash available to them, and so far, I mean, it's been a bit rough already coming out for the members of TLF, and we'll see if City Witty on their way down can actually make anything happen. No wax legs allowed.
No wax legs allowed.
I mean, I have to admit, I will not be too sad if if I don't have to wax my legs.
How long did it take you to grow your facial hair? What is the...
Like 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. Some people it takes a lot longer, so I didn't know if it was a protection of the facial hair, and like, it took me months.
It took me a while. Like, realistically, in order for me to be comfortable on broadcast, I'd probably have to like keep it shaved until like the mid-split.
Is that in between
like the
time?
mid-season invitational. Yeah. And then we could consider growing it out again. Whereas the legs, like, I can just hide that underneath pants, you know? Like, that's not that big of an issue.
The face is a commitment for a period of time where you have to be baby-faced versus baby-legged. You can hide that.
And I still need to get the Doctor Strange cosplay going. Like, I've taken a couple photos myself, but like, if I have to shave my beard, I'm going to have to get a photo shoot with Rafa or someone who can like actually take better pictures than that. But yeah, we will address that as it gets a little bit closer.
No indication just yet of exactly what path of hair removal you will be going down in the future. But,
possibly neither.
Yeah, possibly none whatsoever. But TLF have been empowered with an extra motivation for them to pick up the win against Cloud9 Challengers, who really want to continue to assert their dominance within this league. You know, we talked a lot about Lost and Zeyzal. I also enjoyed the EG remnants across both of these teams. Tomio, for instance, here on the top side, having shared an organization with Surdy in the past, looking for the lane gank alongside Fate God. But City is here to protect Surdy if needed. Going on forward, gets a slam into Fate God. And Tomio with the follow-up. They get the target. They lock it. Fate God may give his life in response. So it's the 1-for-1 trade so far. City on the retreat from Tomio. Getting him locked against the wall. Flashing on over for the final slap. And we've got the scrap in the top lane.
Wow, that play coming out from Cloud9 with a target selection. One of the big things that Tomio has always struggled with is having the ability to choose the targets effectively. And when you have someone like Fate God who's so experienced saying, no, we're not going for the monkey. Watch how long City actually holds onto his DK4 decoy and go for Surdy instead. It's such a great read to just go for somebody who isn't expecting to get jumped on. He never has a chance to use the flash. He's just crowd controlled into death. And yeah, Fate God does end up going down, but Tomio ends up getting the counter kill on the backside. I mean, Cloud9 is very happy with this lane state.
And in the end, Fate God, in the context of this team, on the Gragas, which he has played so many times, is just looking to be absorbent, not the one that you need all that gold to funnel into anyway. So yes, getting a couple kills and really assisting in doing so, giving the life after play started off really nicely for them. So 2-1 kill score, gold starting to build up for Cloud9. Bot side advantage means that they're currently on the Dragon. City's in the vicinity. Blast Cone used by Zeyzal to get over the pit, which means City doesn't have that avenue to do so if necessary. So objective really getting focused over by Cloud9, getting that stacking going.
Yeah, good stuff there. Now, something we do want to touch on real quick is the fact that Surdy actually built up a decent chunk of CS off of the fact that the wave was pushing towards him when he died. He was able to teleport back, and Fake God was not able to recover just quite. He will not be down as much as it currently appears based on how many minions are still here for him to pick up, but it is something to note that Surdy might actually be ahead of that play just because it was 2 assists that went over to Fake God instead of the kills.
That is the difference maker to keep them a bit more even-keeled here with that farm advantage making
he's on
up
wild
some of
card.
that. I see it. I see it. I see it.
That's better. Most people just groan.
No, I'm a supportive codecaster. I say yes. Make them jokes. Make them references. I'll give you a nice little haha.
Aha. All right, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I ain't no Zeyzal support, but come on.
He's in this game. Let's go.
Yeah.
So, we will see. It is worth noting that the bottom side of the map, as we were kind of expecting, has been very one-sided, but Surdy is being very aggressive. We do know that Surdy is one of the best laning top laners, but isn't always able to approach team fights as effectively as some of the rest of his peers, right? Oftentimes he'll get so focused on these minute interactions and how he can individually affect one player that oftentimes he's not able to build it up. But if he gets strong enough, if they can continue funneling resources into him and allow him to build up the stronger CS lead, it kind of won't matter if you aren't the best team fighter, because you're just strong enough to actually carry it through.
And we do know that Surdy coming into the season was putting a lot of focus on trying to better himself mentally, really be a leader for this team. So when you know that he has that mechanical prowess and able to hold on in lane, those are the exact difference makers that are going to show that development in the areas of play that he is looking to improve upon. And alongside the TLF squad has been the point through which they have tried to take advantages. Right now has to be worried, though. You can see Tomio making this rotation. The explosive class used as well to try and zone off. Surdy making the way out and even had City here by the side if necessary.
Yeah. Oh, another potential play on the bottom side is going to just barely catch him on the outside. But look at how aggressively Lost and Zeyzal are playing. I do like what you're calling out though, right? Fake God trying to continue to play, and that's one of the things that I always am impressed about with the Cloud9 members, is they've already internalized this, even if not the words, the idea that it's not, am I winning? It's how can I win, right? And Fake God, now looking to be very aggressive, slows down Surdy, and is able to get a big chunk so he can stick around in lane a little bit longer because he's no longer under threat of getting solo killed. But at the same time, LJX, the new player coming in for Team Liquid first, this doesn't feel good, man. I'm not an AD carry player, but I've heard all community complain about it enough times.
And you already see the effect of LJX being on that bot side when Rovex is trying to make plays elsewhere. They recognize what Lost and Zeyzal have been able to do into that game, and instead of kind of sitting stagnant, they wanted to try and create other advantages. But it's so difficult for LJX against this squad and feeling that pressure through and through. We're at 9 minutes right now, and look at that tower go down. Lost is about to get some chunky gold in the pocket.
He's 3,000 gold in the lead despite only being up a single kill, right? 2-1. This is the kind of thing that we were used to seeing Team Liquid Academy do to teams last year, right? They'd be even in kills, but they would be up 3,000-4,000 gold just kind of out of nowhere. And for Cloud9, we also have to remember they have this cast-in that we haven't even touched on yet. It's just in this game continuing to scale up because its top side is even to winning, its bottom side is hard crushing. Like, Diplex has not had anything that they've really been worried about. There's not been a whole lot of tests coming through for Cloud9 right now, and I'm expecting that Diplex on this champion will absolutely be able to kind of blow up some of the game a little bit later on. Before that, we're going to be putting even more money into Lost.
Sending Lost and Zeyzal over towards the top side. So we already took that turret down bot. We're still in plated territory with 4 minutes to go. Let's go ahead and get some more gold into what will be the carry of this team. All the while, TLF, they had grabbed that previous Rift Herald to drop over on mid to get some of these plates for themselves. Try to close that gold lead a little bit that C9 has created. But the issue is, as you were saying, Joshi, the way that C9 were able to get these leads, where it's not just kills, that means it's kind of crossed the map as well. There are multiple points where they are creating these advantages, so TL don't really have one avenue which they need to try and crush. They have multiple that they're going to be worried about being threatened by.
For sure. And this is something that has happened quite a bit, right? Tomio as the youngest player, or the least experienced player at the very least, on the squad, getting the Dragon. Now they're testing top lane.
City going in with a flash and more. They want to punish this bot lane, but Zeyzal, so much speed available with the quickness to just catch right back up to Lost. Nothing can be had of it. A little stun waiting if needed by Rovex, but Zeyzal, control ward and all, knows exactly how to position around it.
That's some discipline there, right? Using the absolute minimum resources necessary to keep themselves safe. They know that as long as Rovex doesn't flash, they don't need to flash. As long as Rovex doesn't go in for the ultimate, they don't need to spend anything else other than Zeyzal's ultimate to get that charm down. So Cloud9 walking away. And one of the things that's been fascinating too is watching them walk away there is Zeyzal has said a couple of times that Lost is the most aggressive laning partner he has ever played with. Like, Lost wants to go in and kill people. And so the fact that they don't even auto attack at all, they just walk away, is kind of a sign of growth, I think, from Lost and Zeyzal.
Yeah, and kind of coming back to some of the stories of the players on C9 and why it's great to see them succeeding in this way is Lost, for instance. I mean, back even when on TSM, it felt like was always kind of isolated as everyone's going to pick on the bot lane within that team. They really wanted to exploit him, and when you're getting that consistently, it really starts to put pressure on him and his role. And then even since then on the teams afterwards, wasn't quite finding the footing, and it felt like you could feel like he was feeling the pressure of that. So I think having this fresh opportunity to really reset, show the skill and the level at which that he can perform from the last times when we saw the glimpses of it on Immortals and Golden Guardians and the like, has been lovely for a player that's very likable, very dedicated to the scene, and now pairing so well with Zeyzal.
Yeah, it's also worth noting, right, with the number of Oceanic imports we've had, like FBI, Ayla, Harry, who are all currently playing in the LCS, Lost was the original one that came over, right? Like, one of the first ones that has had a lot of success.
Before it was cool.
Yeah, before it was cool. Like, he was playing on teams like Legacy and Chiefs back in his time in Oceania, but once he joined Echo Fox in 2018, ever since then, he's just had so much success across all these different rosters and still has a lot left to prove, right? He's absolutely been sitting on the top of the Academy and Challenger scene ever since he's joined it.
And a little bit of action around this side. City having to spin on out because of the pressure that C9 are pushing through. But no, I think it's a good point, because even in the LCS, you're seeing Stixay, right? Coming on pretty strong in these last few weeks. And that's a player that's been around that people thought they understood what his cap was. And now he's proving differently. And I feel like Lost is a similar player where after a couple of seasons, people thought they understood where his cap is in recent years and that he couldn't surpass that. And now we're saying, nope, change up of many different qualities to come through with that fresh mind is really open things up for him and the Cloud9 squad that continue to open things up on this map as well. Over 5,000 gold lead right now. We haven't had scraps in terms of skills because all they've really needed to do is position properly to try and get these hits. For Rovex and the rest of the team, they want to follow up on this. Annie dropping down Tibbers, but no connection that's worth following up upon.
I do have to praise Rovex a little bit for the patience with which he held on to Tibbers while they waited for Lost to actually throw out the Featherstorm, forcing him to use it before you actually throw down the Tibbers, giving respect to their opponents. Unfortunately, respect a little bit too much, and now it looks as though Cloud9, I mean, they get the top lane turret, that's more money going into the hands of Diplex. The map continues to open up, and with another dragon spawning in a minute, remember how we were talking about one of the fastest souls that we saw in one of our previous games? Well, now Cloud9, a minute away from getting their third on the board.
So close to just stacking these up so swiftly. And again, there are multiple ways they're able to pressure here, which is why even with
this.
TL taking this Rift Herald hits, the teleport from Cloud9 on the opposite side, they go for the mid lane first, stack so much to make sure to kill off Aspect before rotating back over onto the Rift Herald. Rovex and City, very aware of what just happened in the mid lane, know they can no longer contest this and hand it on over to Cloud9 on a silver platter.
Yeah, I mean, you see it right now on the sideboard real quick. It's gone now, but Rovex does not have his support item quest completed, where Zeyzal had it done for a little while. It's part of why the vision differential is coming through already for Cloud9, and Tomio will be left to clean up the Rift Herald, back away, spend that money, and we'll be back on the map in time for the Dragon, because the rest of Cloud9 are already moving through and saying, hey, we cannot be here. City at least gets his own red buff.
And taking that mid turret right before this next dragon spawns, and we're talking about how quick these dragons have been stacking for Cloud9, and here's a continuation of exactly that, pressuring on the right spots of the map, have complete control. TL, look at the warding in place across here, right? Cloud9, with the way they have been impeding on forward, have not left very much room for TL to be able to cross this map without any worry of getting picked off. Diplex, while not in the center of a lot of these skirmishes, is doing exactly what Cassidy can do at this point. Look at all that farm. Look at everything he's been building up at this point, and it's so hard to catch him if you ever do try to really match his pressure.
Yeah, my initial response when you said that was I looked at it and it's like, oh, that's not that much. And then I looked at the clock and I'm like, oh yeah.
Exactly.
This game is still pretty early as we at least see City, small victories, picking up the Scuttle Crab. But yeah, Diplex over 10 CS per minute is farming up a Storm, already level 12. And even though not in a position to fight Jax just quite yet, is still in a position where they are just farming and they can avoid conflicts going up against Surdy. And so it does look as though Cloud9, I mean, they are making it a lot harder for Team Liquid to earn the reward that I promised them that I probably don't know about, to be honest. Like, if they're doing their job, they're not listening to our broadcast.
That's the problem. They need to know. That's what they're missing right now.
They don't feel it. They don't feel the extra pressure that's getting put upon them. Well, Cloud9, though, ooh, okay, we just praised Diplex. We also have to note that Lost is nearing 200 CS.
Just on the mask before hitting the mark. Yeah. Of course, we don't have another one for him to be able to grab from the wave before doing so, but it'll guaranteed happen eventually. But do you want to bet your other leg waxing on that Lost is going to hit 200 CS?
Before what, like 18 minutes?
Man, just in
he has to go for like Raptors like right now.
You can tell I'm just trying to get you to wax.
That's a tough buff.
Yeah.
That's a tough bet. That's a tough bet.
You sure? It could be hard for him to get that one last CS in this
I could have
game.
done it before 18 minutes.
Yeah, I should have called it when, back then, but now hitting it right after that mark. So Lost back in late, past 200, no secondary leg waxing. We're still just waiting for that first possibility if TL managed to pull this off. But Aspect in a bit of trouble. I mean, you seriously have some mobility, but Zeyzal and Tomio on the outskirts. Emperor Divide to try and shove some away, but even under every bit of little resource that Aspect can try to keep himself alive, there's not much you can do. Even with the rotation from the rest of the team, you knew that your number was called. So Cloud9 feeling good in their continued pursuit here in the jungle. Yep, go and find themselves a clone, but at least City can keep the life.
At least he gets to walk away, right? Like, not everybody's been able to do that so far. I wonder if there's a teleport play that Aspect kind of has to look for as, oh, that's the right monkey.
That was the correct one.
That's the right monkey.
C9.
All right, never mind. No
now
play.
Feel it. Yep. Eventually, we'll find the right one. And, oh, there he is, coming into our bush here. So, Cloud9.
I'm curious. Oh, 30 should be okay. I am curious, like, when you play, whenever we go for something and we say we're done, we always just say no play, right? It's just kind of like a, we're done with this play, there's nothing left for us to do. Do you have any words that you like to use for that?
For we're done? Oh,
we're done. Don't keep fighting, we're leaving.
Yeah, just, what are my go-to words for that? I think I usually just say, like, back off.
Back off, all right, that'll work.
Yeah, my go-to is. So usually there's
Yeah.
somebody that's like, you know, I'm playing support. I'm saying,
Oh,
whoa,
Lost.
whoa, whoa. Hey, Lost, come through. Featherstorm. We got some swinging around by City. The True Shot Barrage coming to cut through. Flash away by Lost as well. Teleport
way.
here to assist TL and the rest of the squad. But Diplex is the one in the crosshairs of Sturdy. Ends up going over the wall.
way!
So low, all the way over in the lane with a little bit of HP. Manages to finish off the target. Fake God coming in to blast Aspect and another Emperor's Divide and a little zigzag around to get to safety, but cannot save the life. Cloud9 not giving over a single kill to TL, but taking 4 for themselves.
Oh my gosh, Lost living there is a huge tilter for Team Liquid fans. It's just, he's so close. He's so close to going down, but gets the root at exactly the right time to keep themselves alive. And that's just how strong Lost has become in this game, and just kind of how well that they've been playing throughout the course of this entire split is just keeping themselves alive and always still looking to maximize damage even while they are in this position trying to live. Immediately starts throwing out auto attacks because they know they need to get all 3 of the feathers down in order to get the root, and it's enough. The monkey was not able to dodge anything out, and the rest of this, it's a bit of cleanup, right? Aspect has a nice angle to try and maximize distance, but Fake God's a big boy.
Big old boy hits pretty
Big boy.
hard when slamming in there, so Cloud9 just...
Rovex.
Yeah, Rovex always doing the Annie things to keep the stun up, but it's so hard because that's one thing about Annie. You get the lockdown, but a lot of it is just such a heavy commitment that unless there's immediate follow-up from the team to really benefit from a Tibber stuns, for instance, then any type of sustain or whatnot that's built by C9 just becomes that much more impactful against TL that are looking to pull the trigger pretty quickly, but have not had a chance to do so. Because Tomio again on the dragon. There's so much fighting over here on the top side, though. Multiple knocks up the root onto Sturdy. Sturdy flashing on forward. Lost again, brought low.
No.
Does manage to get him before going down, though. City getting some revenge from the last play, but still now at the mercy of Zazel and Fake God. So Cloud9 finally do drop Lost for the first time of this game, but make up elsewhere. Even Diplex making sure to get in on the fun despite being on split push duty for a lot of this time, still having an impact in these fights, and Cloud9 starting to break into the base.
I'm gonna be honest, the fact that Lost got a double with that single use of the blade collar, I'm just sitting here smiling because it's like, what do you do at that point when he's got that much damage? People don't really expect to be dying in that spot. Team Liquid first. I mean, this is pretty close to how I was kind of expecting this to go. That's why I was willing to give Team Liquid first, a little bit of incentive to try and help them out. But Cloud9, like, they are really good, Gabby. It is absolutely nuts. And this, Rift walking over, like, it's just style at that point. Aspect has to run, but there's no running from Cast.
Not at all. Like, that's not somebody who even... And that's the thing. Look at what Cloud9 was doing there. Just saying, oh, okay, never mind. I'm going to get jungle, or I'm going to get dragon as a jungler. Y'all just continue fighting elsewhere. We're going to win all of these skirmishes anyway while securing all the objectives we want to. Soul intact. And LJX taking so much damage, bursted on down. Simplex and the rest still in pursuit. A stun up onto Diplex, but Zazel going hard into the back line and getting the lockdown needed for Cloud9 to capitalize. It's just Sturdy and Aspect wanting to hold down for the squad, but there's not much they can do. Cloud9, you said it, Joshi, they are good. And we have seen how good they are in this game number 1 of the series against a struggling Team Liquid first. Cloud9 putting the finishing touches onto the game to really come through strong as they've been doing all season long.
I mean, the way that the fact that we don't even talk about Diplex hitting level 16 is just kind of a testament to how well Cloud9 actually played this game. It didn't even matter. Like, he hit 16 at the end of the game, kills a couple people, but realistically this game was over well before that. So we'll see what Team Liquid First can try and do to bring it back, because of how dominant the bottom lane was. It didn't feel as though there was a real avenue for Team Liquid First to fight back there.
They're looking for ways to do so on opposite sides of the map, but also giving it to Fake God in the way that he kept everything locked down with Surdy. So not very many opportunities for Team Liquid First in that matchup, but when they switch things around in Game 2, who knows what can happen. We're going to another break. We'll see you on the other side for some gameplay.